The Passion of our Lord Jesus Christ, according to Matthew. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "Yes, it is as you say," Jesus replied. When he was accused by the chief priest and the teachers of the law, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, "Don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you?" But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Now it was the governor's custom at the feast to release a prisoner chosen by the crowds. At that time there was a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. So when the crowds had gathered, Pilate asked them, "Which of the two do you want me to release to you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ?" For he knew it was out of envy that the chief priests had handed Jesus over to him. While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, he received this message from his wife: "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." But the chief priest, the elders, and the teachers of the law persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. "Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" the governor asked. "Barabbas," they answered. "What then shall I do with Jesus, who is called Christ?" Pilate asked. They all shouted, "Crucify him!" "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, "Crucify him!" When Pilate realized he was getting nowhere, but that instead an uproar was starting, he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. "I am innocent of this man's blood. It is your responsibility." They all answered, "Let his blood be on us and on our children." Then Pilate released Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered a whole company of soldiers around him. They stripped him, put a scarlet robe on him, then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand and knelt in front of him and mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jews," they said. Then they spat on him and took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. After they had mocked him, they took the robe off of him, put his own clothes on him, and led him out to crucify him. As they were going, they met a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross. And they came to the place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. There they offered Jesus wine to drink mixed with gall, but after tasting it, he refused to drink it. And they crucified him. They divided his clothes amongst them by casting lots, and sitting down, kept watch over him there. Above his head was placed the written charge against him: "This is Jesus, King of the Jews." 2 robbers were crucified with him, one on his right, the other on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "You who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. Come down from the cross if you are the Son of God." In the same way, the chief priests, the elders, and the teachers of the law mocked him. "He saved others," they said, but he cannot save himself. He's the King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him if he wants him, for he said, I am the Son of God. In the same way, the two robbers crucified with him also heaped insults on him. From the 6th hour till the 9th hour, darkness came over the whole land. And at the 9th hour, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, Eloi! Eloi! Lama sabachthani! Which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? When some of those standing nearby heard this, they said, listen, he's calling Elijah. One of them ran, got a sponge, filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a stick, and offered it to Jesus to drink. Then the rest said, now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him. And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. The word of the Lord.